how this sound turns out. This seems like an appropriate time to bring up this topic. There's a lot of talk recently, well, amongst my circles anyway, about death. So death is coming to all of us. And what's happened is, close in my circles here, we've had quite a few deaths. So people are freaking out left and right. And for those of you who don't know what my hobbies are, it's a lot of Eastern religion, looking up Buddhism, things like that. And one of the big things that they deal with is death. Now I'm going to walk you through some exercises here that'll make you hopefully look at death a little bit differently than you're looking at it now. People I'm talking to now are freaking out about death, the possibility of you dying. Well, I got news for you guys. It's coming. How and when? Nobody knows. But it's coming. So this first exercise, I'm going to give you two of them to do. And it's supposed to help desensitize you a little bit about death, make you less scared of it. And it does. So I learned these from a couple of PTSD groups. So the first thing is this. It's called the funeral. So, wherever you're at right now, so you're sitting at your computer, I'm obviously riding around, bam, we're dead. We're not just any dead, we're in pieces. Right? There's pieces of us all over the place. We ain't making it back, in other words. Now, the next step of this, stand over your dead body. Take a look at what you look like. Now, you die with your eyes open. And this is the really trippy part. Look at your eyes. Chances are, if you're taking this seriously and you're really thinking about it, you have hollowed eyes. It means you're not there. There's no life in it. It's kind of there, kind of a shell. A lot of people have seen dead animals. Some people have even seen dead bodies. So that should tell you something right there. Your own mind, your own consciousness, recognize the fact that your body is just a vessel, right? It's like an old car. So now fast forward to the notification of your family, because that's always the number one thing. Is what's going to happen to my family? So let's take a look at that. Fast forward, they notify your family. You know, do you have kids? Do you have a wife? Do you have a husband? Whatever it is, whoever your loved one is, but they're notifying them. A parent, obviously they're going to be very, very upset, right? They're going to be crying. Think about that notification for a minute. So there's this initial trauma, right? They're crying. But now fast forward to one day later. Now what's going on? Now they're probably still upset. Other people are probably contacting them. Maybe some extended family, maybe friends who you forgot about a long time ago. You're starting to learn about it. Funeral plans are starting to be made. And here's the question. Who is making your funeral plans? Is it your wife? Is it your husband? Is it a parent? Brother, sister? And that becomes vital later on. Because that's somebody that you really want to cozy up with while you're alive. Whoever's making your funeral arrangement, how are they doing? So obviously they're going to be upset. Are they strong? You know, are they holding it together for the rest of the family? You know, which funeral home are you using? If you've even thought of one. But this is kind of important because what it teaches you is that somebody else, after you've died, is going to carry the torch. They're going to bring things together and help things. It's going to be painful, but they're going to do it. They're going to help move things along. So now fast forward to your actual funeral. And I know this is going kind of quick. These exercises actually take a long time in person. But so fast forward to your funeral. So picture what your funeral would look like. Are there flowers around? Are you in a funeral home? And did you get cremated? being buried. What does that funeral look like? So you're at this funeral, take a look at who shows up. Jump right to where the services are about to start. Who showed up? Were your friends there? Your family there? People, your teachers? Were you into football? Was it a coach? Did a coach show up? Maybe you are the coach. Did your team show up? Just go through in your mind who's showing up at your funeral. Now, jump ahead a little bit because the funeral services are starting. Stand right next to the person who's going to read your eulogy as you're standing up there. Take a look at the crowd. Now, who is reading your eulogy? This becomes important too, because it might not be the same person who put everything together. This may be somebody different. This is also somebody you want to cozy up with in life. So, hey, they start reading your eulogy. What does that eulogy sound like? What do they say about you? Did you accomplish things in your life that you set out to accomplish? Is this death a good death, as a samurai would say? Did you have a good life? Did you have a good death? Bam. Now, services are over. Eulogy is read. Is anybody else going to stand up and say anything? If they do, what do they say? What do they remember about you? What's going to happen? So, take a couple seconds here. Think about that. Your mind works pretty quick. You put all this together. So now the services are over. Everybody goes back. Go back for dinner. They're having, the reception, however they're going to do it. Whatever your family traditions are. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Jump forward a year later after your funeral. Get to hear your loved ones. All these people who read things about you, who talked about you. What are they doing? What are they up to? Did you have kids? How are your kids doing, man? Another grade up? And mind you, they can't see you right now. You're the ghost. You're watching them. Are they playing? Are they having a good time? Most likely, what you're going to see with this is people are starting to move on. There may be pain, but they're starting to move on. Right? Now jump forward again. Jump forward to 5 years and do the same thing. Pretty interesting, isn't it? People have moved on. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Doesn't mean, that they hate you or anything. They still remember you. They still love you. But, life is going to go on. That's what that exercise is supposed to show you. And I left, there's a big piece in the middle there at the funeral that I'm leaving out because we're going to jump that to number 2. So, most likely, everybody's going to be okay. What happens to you? That's the other question, right? Nobody will ever know that answer until you're dead. But here is one thing I can guarantee. One day, everybody on this planet is going to know that answer. So, the second exercise. This kind of goes along, takes a little bit of creativity, a little bit of imagination. Wow, look at this bus. Beautiful. So, right along right now, everything all of a sudden stops, pause, bam. Next thing you know, it's death. Death comes up to you. Everything is stopped right now. Everything's on pause. Death says, hey, dude, look, you're not scheduled to die for another, 60, 70 years, but just want to let you know I can take you down. I got an appointment right now. And everybody, of course, is going to say, no, I want to live. But here's here's the exercise. First, think back all the way as far back as you can till now. Your childhood, everything. You know, they say your life flashes before your eyes when you die. Well, we're doing that now. Think all the way back. But, something to point out to you. Think back to last week. Think back to last month. Think back to last year. Now think back to 5 years ago. Chances are you're not going to be able to remember 5 years ago if you're an adult. Now go back as far as you possibly can. And next thing you know, you're going to be in childhood. Every single one of us, whether you had a good childhood or a bad childhood, remembers their childhood. Why is that? Why do you remember your childhood, but you can't remember 5 years ago? Think about that. The answer isn't so simple. We're not going to give that away. That's for another exercise another time. But jump all the way back. You know, you're a kid, you're playing around. Man, jump up to the future. Okay, now here's where you get creative. So right now you have the chance to check out. All things are over with. All of your stress is done. Death comes up and goes, hey dude, look, I know you are suffering at work. You got a lot of stress. You got your wife, you got your kids, you got your husband, you got your kid, whatever. You've got stress in your life. A lot of it, all of us do, right? It says I can take that away right now. We're going to put you into whatever your heaven is, right? No problems, no nothing. Everything will be taken care of. Everything's handled. Take care of it right now. But hey, you know, I'm just extending this courtesy to you because I'm a very busy entity. And death can be a male, can be female, whatever you want it to be. It can be the Grim Reaper. So now what you have to do is you ask death, okay, well, when would I die? That's about 70 years from now. Actually, let's not even do 7, that's too long. Let's do 30 years from now. Now, jump forward to that 30-year mark and death is standing over you again. Now look back to where you are now. What would you do between then and now if you knew that death was coming? What accomplishments would you want to do? Would you want to get a degree? Do you want to make sure your kids got their degrees? You know, do you want to climb a mountain? I don't know. Whatever your goal is, did you accomplish it? You know, did your family turn out okay? Of course, we never know what's going to happen, but this is just your imagination for right now. All the way up until you're old. Then, think about that, all the things that you can do between then and now. Then death comes here and goes, okay. So, what do you want to do? Coming with me? Or are you going to wait this out? I ain't going to be back again for another 30 years. So, what these exercises are supposed to do. Oh my god, that's just gorgeous. Only in the valley can you see these sunsets like this. Okay, what these exercises are supposed to do. It's supposed to make you more comfortable with death. It's supposed to make you go through the thought process of something that most of us avoid, just thinking about our own deaths. Just realize that no matter what happens, it's going to be okay. No matter what happens, our families are going to move on. Our loved ones are going to move on. Everything's going to work out just fine. That's what it's supposed to be doing. So, for those of you who, you know, fear death, don't fear death. Because it's coming. It's like fearing your next piss. You're going to take a piss. It's going to happen. What you should fear is not living. Not accomplishing these things that you want to accomplish. When they were talking about your eulogy. When they were talking about, death was talking about, hey, pause button. That's what you should be fearing. And that's what these exercises are supposed to do. So hopefully it worked for you. Hopefully maybe you can kind of just think about that for a minute. Maybe give yourself a little aha moment. Or maybe you might look at it and go, no, it did nothing for me, buddy. But in any case, I wanted to share with you guys some of the exercises that I've been taught. All right, good luck to you guys. And like I said,